And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Turning myself up in the microphone. Okay. Oh, God, I just had to rush to pull the microphone to my face. Welcome back to episode 192. Welcome to episode 192 of this show. We're here. We got a microphone. Get used to it. I couldn't think of a word that rhymed with "we're here," or a phrase or a statement. How dare I? Sorry, I'm just adjusting some things. Okay, here we are. I knew this episode was going to happen. Did not have, truth be told, not have a lot of stories to choose through this week. A lot of stories happened this week, but nothing of import and nothing I wanted to really talk about. I did have I was running out of things to find, and I found a story on the Wrap about Tucker Carlson and how he's losing what's it called? Not subscribers, advertisers. And I found that story, and I thought, I mean, can I do something like this and enjoy it? And the answer to myself was automatically no. I just pushed the story from Pushbullet, using Pushbullet, pushing it from Chrome on my phone to Chrome on the laptop. But I found some things. I found some good stories, I think. And I found two things I want to talk about. And then the third thing, which is the first thing I didn't want to talk about, but that's what happens in this world. Coming from me on a nice rainy day in Atlanta, Georgia. It rained for approximately 20 minutes, around 10, and then stopped raining, and it was great. How come I cannot hear myself very well? Okay, this sounds better. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the first story. All right, this first one comes. It's a multi thing. Lots of issues with this story. The first part comes from the Wrap. GINA CARANO dropped from The Mandalorian after abhorrent social media posts written by Umberto Gonzalez. So, listen, I had no idea. Let me tell you how I came across GINA CARANO. I was watching on Disney Plus. Obviously, I have an issue with Disney in that they own everything in the world and they keep firing people. Something like 30,000 jobs in the last couple of years. Anyway, they own The Simpsons, and so obviously the only way for me to watch The Simpsons is to is to subscribe to Disney Plus. But also, they air it on FX and Freeform all the time. So now I have every single episode on my YouTube TV DVR, but that's fleeting, and there's commercials, and I don't want to deal with that stuff. So anyway. I'm looking for shows to watch on this stupid streaming service that I never use. And I see this Ned's, oh God, I keep calling it Ned's to Classify, but that's wrong. Earth to Ned. It's a talk show from the Jim Henson Company. I love the Muppets. I love Jim Henson Company. And except for Happy Time Murders, which is a horrible movie. And I love everything. So that's a very striking comment. And it's this giant alien puppet that came to Earth, and he was tasked with destroying it, and now he loves it. He wants to be a talk show host, and all these famous people know who he is. And it's a funny show, great show. I really enjoy it. But Gina was one of the getting back to the crux of the story, was one of the people that he interviewed, and naturally as a young man who's attracted to beautiful women, I started talking to third person. I saw her and I go, wow, she's gorgeous. Who is this woman? Look her up. She's on The Mandalorian, show I've never seen, but suddenly I was interested in seeing. But then you dig further into it, and you see that she is posting a lot of close to alt-righty stuff. And now this is all kind of blowing back against her. And she's been fired from The Mandalorian. Lucasfilm says we are no more. We're not gonna deal with this woman anymore. Now, she came under fire on Wednesday as the hashtag fire GINA CARANO trended over Instagram post comparing Republican being Republican today to being a Jewish in Nazi Germany. And I'm going to shorten this because I don't like what she wrote, and it quite frankly, you shouldn't either. But she just said that how the Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, and the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that different, from hating someone with their political views? And this is not the first time she's done this. She's tweeted some stuff, particularly in 2020, which she supported conspiracy theories and a lot of things. And 9 days after Biden won, she invited all of her followers to join her on Parler, which is now a defunct conservative-driven website. Although they would probably say it's a First Amendment website. And she's been talking about the coronavirus vaccine and mail-in voting, and obviously she's on the wrong end of the spectrum on both of those, so I don't have to dig too deep. And so all this backlash got her fired. And truly, I mean, she is just such a gorgeous person. I'm looking at this picture on Variety and this next Variety story, and it just sucks that she's a racist and stupid. Speaking of which, this comes from Variety. Written by Daniel Holloway. Lucasfilm UTA dropped Mandalorian star GINA CARANO following offensive social media posts. They quoted the story again. I'm now coming to terms that this is the same story, basically. Okay, well, adding that UTA, excuse me, Google, why didn't I say anything? As basically adding that UTA, which is her management company, dropped her as well. Speaking of people who were dropped by their managers, I believe Shia LaBeouf was, and someone else was. Oh, Marilyn Manson was dropped by his manager. Marilyn Manson's manager. This is a cursory story that I essentially glanced at. He and his manager were together for decades. And it might be 2 decades, so that still counts as multiple decades. And his manager dropped him in a heartbeat because I would think in the past, particularly I would say around popping a lot of peas here. I would say around when Weinstein was originally found to be a horrible person. I think I would think that just a couple years ago, that's what it was. I would think that agents would stick by their clients for as long as they could. Sometimes not even leaving them. But you see Marilyn Manson, Morgan Wallen in the past week. Both of them lost their managers. They both lost these giant careers, and I think interesting enough. Well, let me finish this thought. There's no leeway anymore. There's no leeway anymore, and for those agents' careers to continue. Period. It's smart, and the agencies as well. It's smart for them to say, "Hey, we don't want to contend with this person. We want to work with this person. This person is a bad spirit, and we don't want them with our good spirits." And so, I mean, it's. In the case of Morgan Wallen's agent and Morgan Wallen's agency, smart move, and Marilyn Manson's just good. Same thing for GINA CARANO's people, good. Drop those bad habits, and fill up that slot with somebody who deserves it. So, and then I saw a video Morgan Wallen posted on his Instagram to his because again his sales are surging, as I discussed last week. And because people, they think he's going to be removed from the streaming services, which he's not at this point. But he's on the video saying, "Don't defend me. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry." I mean, it's just It's ridiculous. It's a little late for you to come out and say, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. Please don't defend me." Like you're already making money off the back end of this, but whatever. Anyway, that is to say, don't be stupid. Don't be racist. The end. That's the easiest thing. Speaking of stupid people, well, actually, yeah, let's do it. Let's continue on this. This comes from Vox, written by Constance Grady. A story I found literally 30 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. How Joss Whedon's feminist legacy unraveled. So Joss Whedon has been known as this pro-female avant-garde director ever since he started with Buffy and Angel and Felicity and what is that show? Firefly. And everything he's done has been like this pro-feminist, white female, pro-feminist, hilt. And I don't know if that's the right term, but a couple of months ago, I would say about a year ago, Ray Fisher came out and said, "Hey, Warner Brothers film, Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon was a horrible person during the reshoots of Justice League, or during the shooting of Justice League. As you may know, Zack Snyder had to leave the shooting of Justice League for a personal matter, which people seem to forget, and they keep trashing him. And I know this story, and I've read this story so many times, and it's so sad why he left. Go look it up on your own, but Jesus, and people were just coming after him left and right still on the internet. This is why I don't read stuff on the internet. So anyway, it's very warm in here. So Zach left. Joss was brought in after his work with Age of Ultron, which we'll get to in a second. And and apparently he was an unpleasant person. Warner Brothers did their investigation. They said they found no wrongdoing. Ray Fisher says, "Hey, I'm not doing any more Warner Brothers movies ever again. I'm never going to work with Walter Hamada, the head of the Warner Brothers film unit." But then you hear like little things in the rumblings. Gal Gadot says Joss wasn't the best to work with, and other people are saying small things like that. So we thought that was the end of it. We thought DC had quote unquote won. But turn around this week, this Wednesday, another breaking news on Wednesday. Carissa Carpenter, who worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, said that she was abused by Joss Whedon. She didn't go into detail, but she did say he, quote, abused his power when she worked with him. And then, so that's Carissa Carpenter. And then Sarah Michelle Gellar said she said she's proud to have been Buffy Summers and Joss. Hold on, she didn't mention Joss. She's proud to be with her name associated with Buffy Summers, but she doesn't want her name to be associated with Joss Whedon. She stands with the survivors. I hope that means Ray Fisher as well. And then I believe one more woman who was pregnant when she was shooting stuff on Buffy. Yes, Amber Benson described the Buffy set as a toxic environment. And then Michelle Trachtenberg, she was Buffy's little sister, and she said that it was not a good environment, which is interesting to see. And then this is from written by Vox. Let me talk about who wrote this. Constance Grady wrote this for Vox. She quoted something from Age of Ultron where Black Widow, who is played by the woman who thinks she can play a transgender person. What's her name? Scarlett Johansson. Where Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, said that she's broken because she can't have a child. And anyway, people are just saying like his disgusting, rhetoric, even as a quote unquote feminist, his disgusting rhetoric as a person is towards the female body and towards the female gender as a whole is not on par. Not good. So in 2017, Whedon's ex-wife accused him of emotional abuse. Again, this is something we have heard because this is a story that came out in 2017. And his ex-wife is the actress who I think is now married to... Oh, never mind. Kai Cole. This is someone else that I was thinking about. I was going to say Rick Fox, but I doubt that is true. So now we have Carpenter, Geller, Benson, Trachtenberg. But no one. But this article is not mentioning Ray Fisher, which is interesting. Okay, they mentioned Ray Fisher twice. Anyhoosers. All that is to say, we knew Joss Whedon was not a good person. And yet he was still getting jobs, still making things for HBO, which I think he was kicked off of that show. Not kicked off. I think he left the show that he was creating for HBO. And it's still going on. I don't know if his name's still on it. I think I saw his name on the trailer. And you know, just because they have this feminist rhetoric doesn't mean they're entirely, you know, the good person. I listened to a story this morning on the Daily for the New York Times, which we'll get to in the next segment, about, and I read a story also about a guy in the Bronx who is a foster home parent, a homeless prophet. A homeless nonprofit purveyor. He owns a nonprofit that helps out homeless people, but he abused women in and out of that shelter, and then like also he's using the money from the city to fill his for-profit stuff and to lease him a car, lease him a Mercedes, and do all these other things, and it just goes to show you, like, even the biggest saints. That are on the outs that look like saints on the outside aren't saints. But anyway, listen, we got to take a break. When we come back, because the camera already shut off. When we come back, we're going to talk about the New York Times. We're going to talk about just what in the world is Clubhouse. We're going now to break. Here we go, baby. And we're back to the show. Listen, I gotta stop counting down before I sit down. That's just gotta stop happening. I didn't think I was gonna go that dark in the last couple of stories, but this is what happens when this stuff breaches the real world. When it happens to anybody, you gotta talk about it. Also, I never liked Joss Whedon. I just don't like him. Hey, and I never liked Age of Ultron. I don't. You know, the Marvel movie I dislike the most, Captain America: Civil War. Do not like it. Do not like it. One bit. Oh, I don't like it. It's fan service. It's more fan service than Endgame. I was going to say Edge of Tomorrow. They're all fan service. Superhero movies. Besides Wonder Woman 1984. The most recent one. I enjoyed that film. I think I'm the only person that did. What else is going on? Nothing much. Just applying for jobs. If you're here from LinkedIn, because I did post this, I posted an episode of News Time on my LinkedIn. Welcome. Stay, please, and hire me. If you work in television, hire me. If you don't, we'll discuss pay. Let's get into it. New York Times newsroom needs guidance. This comes from The Wrap, written by Lindsay Elfson. Elfson? Yeah. New York Times newsroom in quote-unquote chaos over departures, fears of cancel culture. Now, listen, I pull most of my stories for this show because this is an entertainment business news podcast, and it mostly pulls news from the trades, which are The Wrap, Hollywood Reporter, Vulture, and Deadline, the four biggest trade publications, which all cover entertainment business news. But I have coined that term, so shut up. Now, that's one thing. They're like a step above Page 6 and TMZ. My problem with this is that I read the article. This thing, the words in the article don't match the severity of what the headline is putting forth. Now, last week we learned that Donald McNeil Jr., who has been with the New York Times since 1976, and Dean Backwet, who is the executive editor, they both put in their resignations or were actually fired from the New York Times. Now, Don McNeil Jr., this old white guy with a burly mustache, said the N-word and a bunch of other racist stuff when he joined some students and their parents at a New York Times sponsored trip in Paraguay or Peru in 2019. He'd already been reprimanded for that. And then Dean Backwet, of course, was the executive editor, and plus he worked on the what this Ms. Ellison writes, the now discredited Caliphate podcast. I love that it's called that she put that modifier there, now discredited, which is true. It is now discredited. Because the informant that they spoke to, who was supposedly in ISIS, wasn't. That's what the podcast is about. That he was in ISIS, but apparently he was lying. And so one Times reporter told Vanity Fair's Joe Pompeo that the turmoil, and then another one told CNN that the situation has been an effing disaster. Those are the only two things that highlight the severity, the quote unquote severity of what's going on. Now, apparently there was earlier this week, last week, it was called a State of the Times town hall meeting Thursday. So now, if you work at a big, company, they usually have these meetings. And if you work at a big company that's had a lot of issues, they hold these meetings regularly. Or if you're in my case, at the company I last worked at, they will hold them every couple of months and explain why some jobs were being shifted to different titles and over-promising on that you'll keep your position. So anyway, very angry. I need money, baby. I live an expensive lifestyle. You see this backdrop? So the problem is there's a story. So the Daily Beast reported on the McNeil N-word story in 2019. I read that story, and he had said a lot more racist things. He said a lot more racist things, apparently, to a point where parents had to, call in and go, "Hey, man, this guy says some racist stuff." I'm laughing because he is fired, and he's a trash man. And then Dean Backwet was accused of sexual harassment, for years before he even got to New York, or years at the New York Times. We didn't learn anything. The problem is people are worried about quote unquote cancel culture at the New York Times. Not people. Apparently, New York Times reporters are. But and then Ms. Elson, talks about how Barry Weiss, the former op-ed writer, who was always causing controversy, as well as James Bennett, who was the opinion editor, who resigned last year because of that Tom Cotton military intervention and protest piece that he published. But the thing, and so the idea of this, the log line, I guess, of the entire piece is that, as Ms. Ellison posits, is that the right in the New York Times is being forced out. The problem is, though, there's no problem. The thing is that these people have these fringe ideas and these conspiracies, and they're creating these problems and being mad at Black Lives Matter and protesting and activism because they're racist and they're stupid. I'm gonna keep hammering that home. If you're racist, you're stupid. Never met a smart racist in my life. Also, I don't want to meet any more racists. I'm in the South. There's plenty around me. They're probably next door. I wouldn't doubt it. There's no cancel culture going on here. In the New York Times, and in any news media outlet, you have to be objectionable. The problem is Barry Weiss and Tom Cotton. I'm not going to call James Bennett a racist. He just published that thing because he's a moron. But Tom Cotton these people that are talking negatively about people that look like me, about people that I grew up with that look like me, like it's, just something that doesn't look like a white man or a white woman, because white women are still living off of everything the white man does. It's insane that you can even think that way and think it's fine for you to work at CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or Vox or IGN. Jesus, don't be dumb. All right, final thing for the day. Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this story that I pulled up. What is Clubhouse? Clubhouse is a new social media platform that is a startup, and it's invite only for now. But what it is like kind of like a live broadcast audio. It's only audio driven platform where, you can just talk. And that's it. You talk and people listen. That's it. It's like a live radio broadcast. But this comes from Vox, written by Terry Nguyen. Clubhouse, the invite-only app, explained. So that's what it is. It's for people who like to talk. Now, Elon Musk joined the app, and it kind of just boosted its popularity. And apparently, people around the world love this thing. Across Europe and Asia, people are now seeking to download the app, and especially in America, which is only available on iOS store. Clubhouse has surpassed 3 million downloads with an estimated user base of more than 2 million. Again, you have to be invited. And plus, when you're a new user, you join, you only have 4 invites. So you have to find somebody. And people are buying invites, which is crazy. So Clubhouse is, you talk, boom, that's it. People listen and stuff, and up to 5,000 people can listen to you at a time. I truly don't know the appeal of it, but you better believe I tried to download it and join that thing. Now, as it's growing in popularity throughout the East and the not United States, as it's growing, Twitter and Facebook have been trying to create their own versions. Now, Twitter was testing a thing called Spaces. This comes from The Verge. Written by Mitchell Clark, Twitter is now testing its Clubhouse-like voice and chat rooms. Did I read that right? Did I just skip that? Clubhouse-like voice chat rooms. Excuse me. There's no N. Now Twitter calls it Spaces, and they announced it in November of 2020. And that just seems like it's an open beta. It's a small experiment, so it's an alpha beta, not open beta. It's a closed beta. That's what they call it. That's what the video games call it. And you just talk. It's, again, like Clubhouse, because apparently people like this thing. It just seems like it's a voice chat thing. Similarly, Facebook is doing the same thing. New York Times, Facebook is said to be building a product to compete with Clubhouse, written by Mike Isaac. Let's see. Facebook's chief executive, Mark Zuckerberg, has been interested in audio communication forms, said the People Knowledge of the Matter, and he appeared in the Clubhouse app on Sunday to chat about augmented and virtual reality. Facebook has a history of breaking into new technologies, chasing different mediums that have attracted different users. That's how Instagram became a thing, WhatsApp. That's how they bought Instagram. That's how they bought WhatsApp. That's how they bought Oculus. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. So here's the description of Clubhouse, the shortest one I could find. After signing up for Clubhouse, users can create rooms dedicated to different topics. Instead of video or text, Clubhouse's preferred medium is voice chat. Room sizes vary from the intimate to thousands of people listening or participating. At times, it works like a hybrid of a CB radio and 1980s era party line. People just love talking to each other, and they love being heard. Now, I wonder. There's a space for this, because There's a space for, text-based things, which was the internet, prior to YouTube. And then YouTube came along, and now there's a space for video stuff. And then there's other spaces for video stuff, which is like Vimeo or, oh God, I can't name anything else. I don't know, Vimeo? Vimeo and YouTube are the only ones I know. And so whether you're Facebook or whether you're Twitter or any other social networking site, audio seems like the next sure thing. It's so interesting because you would think, Discord has voice chat and obviously you can just start a live stream on Twitch, or Twitch is another video site, on Twitch or YouTube. And that's how, people, you can still interact with people that way. But I wonder why this is blowing up. And the reason why I downloaded the app today is because I wanted to see, if this is the next TikTok, then, we got to get C+ comedy on there. Boy, what if I jumped on TikTok 2.5 years ago and I was producing just small bite-sized comedy content, as the kids say? Would I be succeeding? More so than I am today, which is not much. Which is not much at all. I do appreciate a new way of communication. I do appreciate a new kind of thing. I don't want to join it, personally. I don't really give a crap. But this is, and I just said that I want to do it for C+ comedy. But this is a very interesting way for people to grab onto things. This is, and I saw another article that said that they don't want to do moderation, which is bad, because that's how you end up with spaces like Parler. And then I saw an article today that I read something that said Clubber, which is like Parler, which is a conservative social site, they're going to start banning QAnon content, which is wonderful. Great. You can be a conservative website without all the QAnon crap. So this is, I don't know. Moderation is always needed in these types of things. But I'm neither the smartest person in the world to talk about this, nor the most qualified. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see interviews with your favorite comedians. You can follow if you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me sitting in this corner all day. On the youtube.com/cpluscomedy, you can see a premiere show, News Time, which is a weekly entertainment business news show, news magazine style, like The Daily Show, except way less funny. And it's great. This week's episode is about black coaches. I'm doing the whole Black History Month thing. This week's episode is about black coaches in the NFL. Came out 3 days after the Super Bowl. 2 days. It was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. So anyway, still good. It's still a good episode, even though it was cobbled together at the last minute. Instagram, Twitter, @C+Comedy, @ChatBlackWhite, Facebook, like us, rate, review, subscribe to this show anywhere you get podcasts. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you, and good night.